it would throw a wrench in the works, definitely, if tomorrow, you know, all of our technology that we've used in Tenafly High School were to just no longer be usable.
You know, I'm always yelling at kids, stop texting. What are you you're not even living in the moment.
We can't stop technology. I don't see that happening unless some very catastrophic event were to occur.
There's no turning back. We have to accept it. We have to find a place for it. We have to find a balance for it, because it's here to stay. It's absolutely here to stay.
Facebook too, for some people, like you check it the second you get home, 10 minutes after you check it, 10 minutes after that, you're always on it.
I would be very disheartened if the whole education field became so heavily dependent on technology.
It's not just a phone, we can do anything on them. And so then you lose your ability to do everything.
As years go on, old is replaced with new, and new technology is introduced into society. Brick-like cell phones have been replaced with today's smartphones, which are capable of accessing hundreds of thousands of applications. Social interactions have moved from personal conversations to Facebook chats. The internet has become a valuable resource that we are dependent on for daily life. The world is changing, and we have come to accept this reality. We are 4 students of Tenafly High School in Tenafly, New Jersey. As youths in the midst of these great changes, we have begun to ask the question, have we become too dependent on technology? The current generation of high school seniors is one of the first generations of students to not know what it is like to do schoolwork without the internet. For most students, the internet has become a one-stop resource for the majority of their schoolwork.
The internet is an invaluable resource, makes research infinitely easier than having to go through books and through libraries and archives.
Instead of driving down to the library to search for books, students can stay at home and have access to all of the resources that they need for papers, projects, and homework assignments.
It was so much more work when I was going through school to find secondary sources and to come up with ideas and to do research. And I love that you can, you know, be in your room, in your bed, on your laptop, finding every kind of research out there.
I have direct access to lots of information about students, which is really helpful. If I call a student down for an attendance issue, I can immediately look, you know, just like the parents can, on Genesis and see gradebook. Not just the grades, but what how they're currently performing. And I always kind of incorporate that into my discussion with the students to look at their overall, you know, well-being.
Using Facebook as an example, I guess when you have to do projects at home and stuff and you're in a group or need to ask another person, just things become so much easier, and it's like right through Facebook you don't have to worry about even like calling them or anything. You could just send them a document if you want. You can consult on different things, anything.
It's just easier to access information, so it lessens the time that you have to spend looking for information.
Many see this as a great benefit to students, but some believe that it has become too easy, and that the challenge of the coursework should be increased as a result.
But it also makes it too easy, too tempting for a lot of people.
I mean, now it's so easy for people to post study guides online, which kind of takes away the motive of genuinely reading a textbook and trying to get the information for yourself, where now it's just, you know, clearly laid out for you, which is really convenient because people can use that to their advantage, but it's still, kids are taking the easy way out.
Although our generation is the first to be exposed to this plethora of technological convenience, one cannot help but wonder and worry if this accessibility comes at a price.
You know, I said earlier that I think that students don't have the attention span that kids had 15 years ago, but I think there's also a kind of sharpness and an accessibility to information that students today have that students 15 years ago didn't have. And so I think kids are just, in a broader sense, smarter in some ways. They have information at their fingertips all the time, so it seems to me that they know a little about a lot of things as a result of being so connected.
In addition to using the internet on computers, students use it on their phones and other devices for Facebook, online games, and other entertainment purposes. With access to all of this at their fingertips, it's commonplace for students to get distracted in class, in the hallways, and even outside of school.
The increase in technology has definitely made school a bit too easy for students and has probably negatively affected their cognitive functioning. And I say that because I think that the ability to just have this instant gratification of going on Wikipedia and then finding out whatever you want about whatever topic you want kind of takes the discipline and tediousness out of research, which actually is important in itself. And so while it's great that you can find out so much in so little time, the concentration it takes and the dedication it takes to go to the library and do tedious research is actually very important for cognitive function and, you know, the human brain.
With this vast majority of students having access to applications, social networks, the internet, and text messaging around the clock, it appears as though kids these days are constantly wired up.
I think it would be nice if society could adjust to having it in its proper place, but not, you know, being glued to it 24/7. I mean, it's changed the whole workplace immensely with people having Blackberries and iPhones, and, you know, most people I know who work in the corporate world, let's say, is even academia, you know, they check their email, they're constantly available. And I think it's going to take society a while to maybe swing back from that a little bit, because people value their private time and their family time and whatnot. And we need to keep that in mind going forward.
Ever since social networking and picture sharing over the internet has started, privacy has always been a huge concern for people. With a large majority of kids using Facebook and other social networks, many students find that these networks are too revealing of their personal lives.
My biggest concern is privacy and being able to live without other people's influences, and I think technology makes that more difficult.
Because technology has moved face-to-face social interactions to cell phone texts and Facebook chats, many believe that youths these days are becoming less and less capable of having face-to-face conversations.
Half the conversations that I have with people are over text. You know, like, people are, you know, asking each other out over text, you know, not even doing it in person, you know, like, come on.
Although people are more connected, you know, I have to question, what does that word connected mean? I'm not sure it's in a human sense, in a real sense, an emotional sense, really feeling tied to someone else. It's very easy, you know, the comment that everyone has a million friends on Facebook, but it doesn't mean anything. So, you know, I'm not sure that it's to anyone's benefit.
In terms of communicating with other people, even though I do talk to people through Facebook chat and on Facebook and stuff, I guess it can't really be a substitute for talking to the person in person, but I guess sometimes it is.
Some believe advances in technology have sprouted a generation of socially awkward youths.
I know that students in the year 2012 are sort of considered the heads down generation. I'm sure you've heard that term, where nobody looks up anymore, as everybody has their head down, kind of connecting with people that aren't even in their direct environment.
With social networking on the constant rise, Tenafly High School has seen a significant increase in Facebook users in the past 4 years.
Facebook is a drug, like any other drug. The instant gratification you get from using Facebook and seeing a notification pop out has the same effect on your brain as taking a drug. It stimulates the happy centers. It releases dopamine and serotonin and other neurotransmitters and hormones that make you feel happy. And so it's literally a drug. That is why I use it.
And also socially, you'd be living in the Stone Age if you don't have a Facebook or a way of communicating on the internet with someone.
Facebook has suddenly become a central hub of social interactions, universally used by high school and college-age kids around the world.
Yeah, definitely. Like, if I'm trying to write an essay or do a lab, I'll always end up somehow on Facebook or Tumblr, and yeah.
In terms of academic integrity, technology makes it a lot easier to cheat. Not that I was cheating, just that I have friends who have cheated.
Tenafly consists of a student body of extremely dedicated and hardworking students, consistently striving to get the highest grades possible. Because of this, many students are pushed to a point of desperation, a point that may influence a student to cheat on a test or quiz.
Definitely more cheating than what I've seen. Just because if you have an iPhone and you hold it under your desk, you know, it's so easy to see. For me, there's been no correlation at all, but that's because I tend to like to do things by hand.
Teachers need to be more vigilant than ever because of the use of cell phones, how easy it is for a student to look up something or communicate with another before, after, during a test, that kind of thing. I think we probably have had a bit more of it.
With access to cell phones during class time, students are sometimes caught sending answers to each other during assessments.
Oh my gosh, it's so easy. I've seen kids multiple times take pictures of pages from a textbook, and then during a test or quiz, just look underneath their desk at their phone and get exactly the information that they're looking for.
All of the word processing and this and that and everything that makes your life easier, calculators, you know, in a way I kind of think that our brain becomes a little mushy.
I'm one of a handful of teachers who are using the iPad in school now. The technology director got us set up on the Wi-Fi. So, you know, at a moment's notice, I can hook up an adapter to my iPad, hook it up to a projector, and show on a big screen anything I want to, from a movie to a web page to an audio, whatever, to enhance my lessons. And I do use my iPad just about every day in my classes.
As new teachers begin careers at the high school, new teaching methods have been introduced. More and more often, teachers are incorporating PowerPoints, smartboards, and even YouTube videos into their lesson plans. To many teachers, technology has not only given the opportunity to access many resources, but it has also made lessons more engaging for their students.
If the government continues to try to push technology down our throats and insist that we use it instead of using some other things, I think that the new teachers coming in are going to be entirely technology dependent. And I think that you're losing one very, very important aspect of education, which is the interpersonal. And it's not just student to student, but it's teacher to student, because as much as you think that with so many students going through, you don't really have an effect, I still have people coming up to me and saying, you made a difference, or what we did in that class, or this one experience changed my life. And it boggles my mind every time somebody else says it. But that has to do with the people that you're dealing with and being there in person.
But some may ask the question, have teachers grown too dependent on technology for their lessons?
There needs to be the human factor of teaching. You know, I brought in a World War II vet at the beginning of the year. You can't do that with technology. That's a human-to-human contact that's important.
Right now I have a 4-year-old son, and I see the way he reacts to technology, and if he gets his hands on my iPad and then I go to take it away from him, it's almost like I'm taking his drugs away from him.
With technology becoming more and more prevalent in school systems all over the country, we were curious as to how technology has affected Tenafly schools at the elementary school level. In order to do this, we decided to trace our roots back to our old elementary school by visiting our first grade teacher, Mrs. Brown. What we found here was startling. Technology has shaped the entire school into a network of smartboards, high-tech computers, and a student body more tech-savvy than most adults.
And now it's just, you know, it's easy, works smoothly. The kids have grown up with technology, so they're comfortable with it. They actually teach me a lot. You know, I've learned along the way too.
Because we mostly do all of our work on a smartboard, so like it's hard if it doesn't work, and we have to do it. You know. My favorite subject is I like to play on the computer.
The ability to keep kids' attention has changed tremendously. You have to be very theatrical and keep them engaged in changing things because they're so used to this fast kind of impact of the technology at home. So it has made a difference in their ability to be able to sit and focus on other kinds of things. And that's why bringing these into the classroom also, addresses the kind of learning that they're used to at home. But it has had a huge impact and not all positive.
First graders now get to take a virtual tour of Italy using Google Earth and smartboard technology.
Our class goes to Italy every year, and it's a unit that we created. We actually pretend to go on an airplane. They have airline tickets. They go through security. But what has happened is because of technology, when they go, it actually becomes alive. The children just feel like they have been there. Did you bring your Italian pass?
Yes.
Okay, because remember we said that would get you on any boat,
Train, or bus.
or a bus. Let's go on a gondola ride.
Kids learn how to tell time by moving the hands of a clock on a smartboard rather than the old bulky yellow ones that we learned with.
I like to use the computer actually because I get to go on and I get to read there, and there's some cool books. I have 2 iPads, 3. One iPod for me, one iPod for my other brother, and another iPod for my other brother.
And this is the world they've grown up with technology and computers, and all of this just fits into their lifestyle. So it's had a huge impact and has opened up so many doors and made teaching so much more exciting even.
Some lessons are even run by the students using smartboards themselves, making the job of an elementary school teacher seem almost obsolete.
So I think it's not a choice, that we just have to keep moving forward and hopefully putting the best kinds of technology that support learning. And I mean, it's beyond my imagination what's going to be out there.
In an article entitled The Impact of Technology on Child Sensory and Motor Development, the impact recreational use of technology has on children is explored. This overuse of technology greatly impacts the developmental stages of a child's brain, changing the child's behavior in class.
Right now I have a 4-year-old son, and I see the way he reacts to technology, and if he gets his hands on my iPad and then I go to take it away from him, it's almost like I'm taking his drugs away from him. He is that quickly transfixed with this piece of equipment, and that leads me to suspect something about it. There's so much in Silicon Valley that goes into making the use of these items easy, immediate satisfaction. Push this, swipe that, and I think in a certain way for small children, that immediacy that you have in it, and that swiping and that pinching and whatever, I don't know if it's doing the minds of small children a good service.
Video games and TV shows have the potential to give a child a falsified sense of excitement, making them overly more hyperactive in class and less capable of learning fundamental concepts in elementary school. At the Waldorf schools around the country, students are required to relinquish all of their devices, dedicating their time solely to education. The philosophy is that students will be less distracted and will therefore be more inclined to read books, do more schoolwork, and be more focused on bettering their education.
I think technology has a place. It's such an easy tool, easy to learn, just as they indicated in that article. Why do schools have to embrace it wholeheartedly? I would say that I would like to see more schools go in the direction of Waldorf School.
The goal as an educator is to figure out ways in which technology is able to offer you something that is in addition to what you could do just with conventional methods.
Finding a balance in technology use on a daily basis is something that many have trouble with. Though it is used as a tool to help us, it is also a very tempting distraction, something that can keep students from doing their schoolwork or paying attention in class.
I think that in general, you have to find a balance, both as a teacher and as a student, and really determine when are the times in which technology is actually helping you. We have to remind ourselves, I think, from time to time that technology is created to be an aid and to empower us and to allow us to do things that we cannot do without it. But at the same time, we also have to keep in mind that we can become very dependent upon that technology and that it can actually be a detriment at times, especially in terms of attention, paying attention, and to really living a fulfilled life.
One can only hope that these students are somehow finding a good balance. With technology around us at all times, it is difficult to escape it. Kids and adults alike seem to have lost touch with nature, or life without technology in general.
It's a conversation that my husband and I have frequently because he works in technology, Cisco systems, and he also agrees with me that it's not that he's not sure that technology is the panacea that education needs today. I think it's easy for districts to, think that that's moving forward, that that's being modern, that that's going to solve the problems of education, and I'm not sure that. I really think it boils down to, as in the article that you addressed, that engagement, that whatever happens, that community of learning, that one-on-one between teacher and student, students with other students, and I don't think that technology has proven to aid that.
Technology is simply a tool we use to make our lives more convenient. It is the product of human ingenuity, yet the root of many of society's problems. It has found its place in society not only in the classrooms of our schools, but also in practically every aspect of our daily lives.
There's all this talk all the time about 21st century skills and how students should be prepared with technology. And I keep saying, what about the 19th century skills like, canning pickles or, growing tomatoes or whatever the case may be. And the kind of self-reliance that I think is so important to the American character that, Emerson wrote about, for instance. And I'd like to see a balance of those two things. I would like to see kids who are plugged in and who can use technology to enhance their lives and their education, but yet who still have an appreciation for, the simple things in life, like taking a walk with your dog, or walking around the woods, or growing a garden, whatever the case may be. Climb a mountain somewhere. I'd like to see the two of those things in balance.
It doesn't make sense for us to abandon our technology entirely, but we need to begin to realize that there is a place and time for everything. If we can begin to do this, then our generation, the future generations, and society as a whole will be better socially, intelligently, and creatively.
I still see a great deal of interaction, peer-to-peer interaction in the classroom, in the halls, in the lunchroom, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, there's times when I see people on their phone, and I think that is new, that is different. And the fact that in some circles has become at least partially socially acceptable for somebody to be on their phone while sitting next to a person. But I still think that there's a very strong human desire to connect, and to connect in a face-to-face way as much as possible.